What's going on, guys? Cultimush back at it with an $800 gaming PC build. One of you guys requested me to do an update to this build in one of my other videos, and a few things have changed since my last $800 build, so I thought it would be a good idea to update this. So without further ado, let's get right into this with the CPU of the build. For the CPU, I went with the Intel Core i5-4590 3.3 GHz quad-core processor. The CPU is $190, and it's much cheaper than the i5-4690K, which is about $40 more expensive. Yes, the 4590 isn't overclockable, but it already comes clocked at 3.3 GHz, which is still fairly good. And since you're not overclocking on this CPU, you can just stick with the stock cooler and that'll get the job done. And this CPU is just cheap. It's $190, but it's still a quad-core CPU, still clocked at 3.3 GHz. And this is just an awesome gaming CPU, especially at this price. You really can't get much better. And it doesn't get much better than the i5 in per core performance, and at $190, it's a really palatable price point for an awesome gaming CPU. For the motherboard, I went with the ASRock Fatality H97 Killer ATX LG1150 motherboard. This motherboard is around $95. There is a $20 mail-in rebate on Newegg right now if you decide to buy it from there. So if you decide to use that rebate, you can get this motherboard for around $80, and at that point, that's just a killer of a deal, no pun intended. So this is a fully sized ATX motherboard. It's on the LG1150 socket, and it's an H97 board. No reason to pay the extra for a Z97 board. Since, like I said, the i5 we went with can't be overclocked anyway. It's got 4 RAM slots up to DDR3 1600 MHz at 32 GB of max memory. It's got RAID support, no SLI support, 4 SATA 6 gigabit per second port, a SATA Express port, and onboard USB 3 headers. And it comes in an awesome black and red color scheme that fits the build, so for around $95, it's a really good motherboard with a lot of features. For memory, G.Skill Ripjaws X Series 8GB, 24GB sticks running at 1600 MHz. This is super cheap right now. You can get 8GB of RAM for only $49, which is a great price. And 8GB is just fine for gaming performance. If you're the kind of guy that you plan on doing a lot of editing, maybe go with the 16GB configuration in the future, but for now, 8GB is so cheap, just go with that. And if you're just gaming on it, 8GB is just fine, and at this price point, it's really a great deal. For storage, Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB for around $50. No SSD in this build, couldn't really fit it in, but you can get a terabyte of storage for $50, which is a really great deal. The Caviar Blue isn't the fastest hard drive in the world, but for $50 and this much storage, it's a damn good deal. And as far as an SSD goes, that's an upgrade you can make in the future, especially because day by day, it seems like SSD prices are just going lower and lower. So maybe in 12, 18 months down the line, pick up an SSD, and by that point, SSDs are going to be even cheaper than they are now. For the video card, I went with the Asus GeForce GTX 970 4GB Strix video card. Now, some of you guys might be wondering why I didn't go with the R9 390. Yes, that's an option as well, but a lot of games these days are really preferring NVIDIA cards, and I know there's shady business going on as far as that's concerned, but it is what it is. I just think the 970 right now for $320 is a really good value. It can pretty much play any game at 1080p at really high settings and really high frame rates. I don't say maxed out because there's always those anomalies like Witcher 3 with Hairworks turned on, and Metro Last Light maxed out where it seems like just about nothing can max it out except for the extremely high-end rigs. But with the GTX 970, you're gonna get a very playable experience at 1080p with a lot of games. Even the higher-end games, like I said, Witcher 3, you're still gonna be able to play that at really high settings and still get around 60 frames per second. And you can do gaming at 1440p as well, but at that resolution, this GPU does lag behind a little bit. But at 1080p, this GPU is just a beast. Battlefield, Witcher, Metro, all those games are going to do just fine at 1080p. And this model from Asus also has a pretty nice cooler on it, so if you do want to overclock it a little bit, get even more performance out of it, that option will be open. And the look of the GPU goes really well with the color scheme of the build as well, so this GPU all around is just a winner. For the power supply, I went with the Rosewell Capstone 550W 80+ Gold Certified ATX power supply. This is about $50, and while it is only 550 watts, that's going to be just fine for this build. The Core i5 is very power efficient, as is the GTX 970 being the high-end video card that it is. And like I said, you're not going to be going for an SLI configuration in this build, so going anything higher than a 550 or a 600 watt power supply really didn't make a lot of sense. And this one is Gold Certified, it has really great reviews, and it's only $50, so all around this was a perfect power supply for the build. Finally, for the case, I went with the NZXT S340 Black ATX mid-tower case. This comes in a variety of different colors, just pick the one that you like the best, but in my opinion, black will go the best with this build. So aesthetically, this is a very clean looking case. It's very nice on the exterior, and the interior will also get the job done. Got really good cable management, a lot of ventilations, a lot of upgradability options. For around $60, the NZXT S340 is one of the best mid-level cases that you can get. And it's got the side window that everybody loves. NZXT just makes a lot of good cases, and the S340 is one of their top cases. So thanks for watching this video, guys. As always, if you have a request for a future video, leave it in the comment section down below. Any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down below. And as always, guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.